Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday. Well, I'm not welcoming you to all of Tuesday. I'm welcoming you to Let's Talk Tuesday. It's what I've now affectionately been calling it. Excited to see you guys and again see what is kind of becoming our Tuesday evening family. So good, so great that you're here. So I wanted to start off with a couple of little thoughts that I've picked up from, I thought about it last week too, because I had heard a couple of things that actress Jamie Lee Curtis had said. I read in an interview a couple weeks ago, she mentioned that she never goes back to her trailer. So you hear about actors on set, going back to their trailers in between shots and I'll be in my trailer. And she says she never goes back to her trailer. She never goes back to her dressing room. She stays on set. She watches what's going on. She's learning from the directors. She's watching the other actors work. That way she's always available to be a counterpart, in a scene if they're doing the other actors' coverage. It's always a very respectful thing that you stay and provide the other part of the scene, even though you're off camera. And she said that she knows for sure that it has led to her getting more screen time on films and having the director put her into scenes that she may not have otherwise been in. And I think it's probably led her to more opportunities as well, just because directors and producers want to work with actors who are great to work with. So when you have someone who's there and is just loving the work and is all about the team and the project as a whole and is so giving to their fellow castmates, that's the kind of people that producers and directors and other actors want to work with. So I would encourage you guys to not take every opportunity to run off set and go to craft service or go on your phone and get buried in your phone, but to put the phone down for a bit, just be there, be present, learn what you can from the craftspeople around you, encourage them, encourage the grip and electric and the craft service people and the wardrobe and hair and makeup, and just learn from them. And the other thing that she said on her, I haven't watched the whole SAG Awards, but I saw her little snippet when she was talking about getting her SAG card. And she said that she got her SAG card because she had been given a contract, a multi-year contract for a series called Operation Petticoat. And then she promptly got fired from that series. And then she said, had she not gotten fired from that series, she would not have had the opportunity to audition for this little tiny independent, no budget horror movie that was Halloween. And that movie changed her career. So I want to encourage you to not view the roles you didn't get as a negative, but to understand that you did the work, you did your part of it, and whatever steps are in front of you are leading you to where you're supposed to be. And just know that one role does not define you as an actor, success or failure. So anyway, I just thought those two were very interesting things to and very relevant things and encouraging things that so anyway, that's that. I'm going to look through and see Diego, who is managing things behind the scene. Diego, if you see a question you want to pop up, that's great. Oh, look at him. He's all over it. Okay, what is the best way to tell if something is actually a God-honoring production? Wait for a script. Something doesn't meet with our standards. Can you share a professional way to decline? Well, you don't always get the script ahead of your first audition. So I think really the only way initially is to check out the filmmakers. So what is their body of work typically? What kind of projects are they typically doing? If they're doing projects that involve a lot of more intense, maybe physical or sexual situations, or a lot of language that you might find objectionable, chances are any other project they do will be the same. So research the people making the films. Number one, that's the easiest thing you can do. You guys should all have an IMDb Pro account, not just IMDb, but IMDb Pro. It's not that much money a year. And again, you really do want to be investing in those tools that are going to be the most helpful. So if you don't have IMDb Pro, I strongly encourage you to do that, because researching filmmakers and other actors and agents and all of that is so much easier with a pro account than just like IMDb or Googling. So anyway, I would research the filmmakers. I would ask if you have an agent, ask them for as much of the information on the other characters, because the breakdown will have other roles typically listed on it and a full synopsis. So you may ask them for that information. But you may decide you don't have enough information, so you're going to go ahead and put in a first read. Prior to a callback is when you can say, I need a copy of the script. Not only to prepare on a deeper level for your character and for that callback, but because you do need to have a better understanding of what the content is. And that's the point at which, if you feel like it isn't consistent with what you want to do, then at that point, I would just let them know that you're passing. There's the professional way to decline, and I get them all the time, because I kind of get sometimes the reverse, which is people who don't want to do content that's necessarily faith or Jesus or God-centered content, so they pass on material for for their reasons. And so it's just that you simply say, respectfully passing, or you can say, thank you for the opportunity, but I'm passing at this time, or I didn't connect with the content. Anything. How would you want to be told? Put yourself in the place of the filmmakers. How would you want to be told that information? So, okay. If an actor has a strong profile of stunt work and is now expanding to more acting reels, would you suggest that we post the stunt clips on Actors Access under the actor's profile? Only a couple, because again, the stunt doesn't show us you can act. So I would you could create a stunt reel and have that there, but don't expect that that's going to be incredibly helpful towards acting material. You'd be better off to post the stunt reel, but then also get other content up there, even if it is a really, really good self-tape, just so that they can see the acting chops, so that we, casting directors can see the acting chops, not just the stunt. Yeah. Chase. Hi, Chase. What are your thoughts on actors who aim to work in film, TV, taking on commercial work? Absolutely. Commercials are awesome. And commercials pay the bills so many times. So absolutely. My feeling is any work that you're doing that is you being a performer, you being an actor, which includes commercials, is good, right? That's more productive towards your end goal than a job that's completely unrelated that you might take to pay the bills. So I would say absolutely get a national commercial, take the heat off of yourself financially, and then see, go from there. I don't think the only challenge would be if you ended up getting, it would be a plus and a minus. Any of those huge campaigns, like the girl that's the AT&T girl, and Flo on the commercials. Why? See, not very good, because I'm not even remembering the brand. Sometimes if you're in a big campaign like that, you can get pigeonholed into that character, whatever they've created that character to be. And that could be a little bit limiting for you, because you're so identifiable. in that, but you also make a lot of money. So just, I would say, just balance that. Okay, Eric. Hi, Eric. Okay, when you know a casting director personally, I wonder if you do. Can you reach out to them professionally about a role they've cast online? And here, let me say this. This business is all about relationships, and you having relationships is good. So you want to use those relationships as respectfully as you can. So in this case, I do know Eric. Actually, his father-in-law is. I went to junior prom with his father-in-law, so I've known his family, his in-laws forever, and so of course, I have an instant affection towards Eric, and I feel like, okay, I would love to do what I can to help. But I will tell you that doesn't mean that I'm ever, and Eric, I love you, but doesn't mean I'm ever going to put Eric forward for a role that he isn't right for, or where if the performance isn't quite right, I'm not, the relationship will not move forward if the fit isn't right. But emailing or getting in touch, a little reminder, if you have that relationship with a director or producer or a casting director, that's great. You don't want to become a pester. You don't want to pester them. Eric, you aren't doing that. You're being very respectful. But yes, I would use. I would. It sounds so bad to say I would use the relationship, because I don't want to be used, and I don't want to use other people. So what I mean more accurately is I would, the connections that you have, keep those connections, continue those connections, especially if they've told you, hey, email me anytime or feel free to reach out anytime, then take advantage of that. And just be sensitive to what you're getting back. If you're sensing, hey, I'm coming on too strong, or it might be a bit much, then just kind of read the room, as we say, right? But I don't think it's bad to send an email. And I usually tell people, feel free to email me if you have a new reel or something going on. Or I do get emails if I have a role that's come out in a breakdown that's exactly what Eric did, just to let me know about a role he saw, and to just basically, he was letting me know that his agent submitted him. So that's perfect, just to say, hey, my agent submitted me, or I submitted myself for this role. Just wanted to make sure you knew that. And you just leave it at that. And then whatever happens, beyond that is great. So, yeah. Love you, Eric. Okay, Brooklyn. Hi, sweet Brooklyn. How's the guitar playing? Brooklyn just bought a guitar and is teaching herself how to play guitar. I tried to do that years ago, and I couldn't get my fingertips tough enough to where it didn't just hurt so bad. So I never made it past that stage, but I have every faith and belief that you will, Brooklyn. Okay, what is the best way to give information, if they want it, about you to a casting director or producer? A business card, something more digital? Yeah, business cards are not the most effective tool anymore, because I think most of the time we end up with a pile of business cards. It's not to say it never works. Like, I keep every business card that I've gotten, but I'm not going through them like a Rolodex on a regular basis. So if they've specifically asked you for information, then it's best to send an email with that information. If they haven't asked you for information and you're just wanting to blindly send, again, digital would be the way to do it. But I would encourage you to find some context or connection for sending it, whether it's a project they're working on, or you have something new that you can show them, or new hedge, some reason that you have for sending this information to them. just so that it isn't lost in kind of the blind emails and submissions that we so often get. And I don't mean to sound so like cold about, you sending emails and they don't get seen, or that they get lost in the sea of actors. Um, I try not to be that way, but there's just a lot. There's a lot of actors, and it's hard to manage my time and my focus. So I have to be specific about my work and about the emails and the amount of emails. And I just physically can't address every email and respond to every actor that emails. And so that's what I mean by, it can get lost in that I just can't personally. I would spend every day, all day long, answering emails and answering questions like that. So I would send it, make a connection, whatever reason you're sending it. Hey, got a new headshot, new clips on my reel, wanted to update you with this. And then I can either glance at it real quick, but at least I know why you're sending it, as opposed to just a blind submission, which is harder for me to make the time to address. So, okay, Amy, with child actors, at what age is the parent not allowed on set with their child when filming? I don't know that I can answer that question, because I don't know of any set in which I would think 16, anything younger than 16, I would not think that they would be able to ask you to leave while the actor was filming on their own. Now, there is on most sets, depending on the state you live in, a set teacher or a social worker, a specific social worker that's assigned to ensure the treatment of that young actor and the well-being of that young actor while on set, to make sure rules are being followed, etc. So it may be that they're asking the parent to leave because that social worker is on set in lieu of the parent. It's possible. I've had young actors where the parent's presence actually impedes the young actor's performance. They get self-conscious, or they get overly emotional or clingy, or insecure, and their shift changes to like trying to connect with the parent or look at the parent for reassurance, as opposed to the director who needs to have that connection. So I would think that if they're asking you not to be on set, you would have the right to say, can I ask why, or to better understand why they're asking for that. And then maybe talk with that on-set advocate. Now, child labor laws and at what age they need a child advocate on set with them depends. It's different from state to state, and work hours and school hours for kids are different, a little different from state to state. But generally, under 16 is considered a minor, as far as they don't work the full amount of hours. Typically, they need to be in school unless they have a GED or they're working legal 18. So, yeah. So I have heard of directors asking that the parent not be on set. It hasn't really happened on any of the ones that I've worked on, but I have heard that happen. And I think it's just because there's some dynamic that isn't working for the director to be able to get that young actor's focus and attention the way that they feel like they need it to be. So, but you could work with that on-set advocate as well. Kyler, hi Kyler. Hey Beverly, my brother and I are currently casting a production. We've never been at the level we are working with a casting director yet and handle our own casting. Well, there's a lot of casting directors out there, but I hear you. How important is that the casting director and director have similar tastes? Well, I mean, I of course have my own personal tastes, But my job isn't to infuse my taste onto a production. My job is to understand the vision of the director and to help bring that to the screen. So I'm asked my opinion on actors, and I think it is important that there's some amount of like cohesion or synergy about um, maybe an overall style, or maybe an understanding of certain actors just in general that you agree are talented or in the style in which this piece is going to be done. But ultimately, my personal tastes is really not what's at the forefront. It's the directors. So there are plenty of times where my personal choice was not the final choice that was made, and they went a different direction, and I have to respect that, right? If they ask me, I'll tell them this is how I feel about these actors, or who I feel I would cast if it were my film. But if we aren't in agreement, that's it's their film. So hopefully, I think it will become fairly clear within a couple of conversations if there's just not a meshing of sort of style and taste. So it's not so much that I'll just speak about myself as a casting director. It's not so much that I need to have the same taste, but I do need to have a level of taste that matches with the director's expectations. I need to have a level of experience and understanding to be able to encompass what the director's trying to accomplish. But I've done plenty of projects where my personal taste is different ultimately than the director's. And sometimes there's a lot of roles we're completely in sync on, and then a couple that we're not. But I think that should come from early conversations, have a sense of whether it's going to fit and mesh. I often will, early on in the process, will send like a few, after I've talked to a director, I'll send a list of some like more well-known name actors that come to mind for me for some of the roles, and that sometimes an indication as to whether we're on the same page. If I suggest some actors that are completely off from what the director's thoughts are, then there may be something where we're just not meshing. We're not going to see it the same way. But you should be able to glean that in early conversations. And I am going to say one thing. Casting directors, this is a little of a like nails on a chalkboard for casting directors. So the present tense word for cast, I'm casting a film, I cast the film, is past tense, right? So there is no word as casted, is what I'm trying to say. Cast is the past tense. So I can only imagine is a film I cast several years ago. But there is no word as casted. So just saying that with all love, but yeah, there is no word casted. All right. Honored, you are so accessible to us here, Beverly Holloway. Well, you are so welcome. What do you like to see on actors' resumes in terms of formatting and or content? I can't get into the nuts and bolts of the formatting other than take a look at other professional resumes and format it similarly, because it's very different from a business resume. And I have seen some actor resumes come in a business resume format, and you can tell right away that they're inexperienced and they don't really yet know what they're doing. So that's kind of a easy giveaway to lack of experience. So, but there's a plethora of ways to look at professional resumes and acting resumes, and follow. They're typically pretty similar, but like some will list the role name and the director. Some will list the role type, meaning like guest star, co-star, lead, supporting lead, and then the production company. Those little things to me don't really matter, but just you want the formatting to be professional. There is no, like on a business resume, you put like, what's your goal? There's no, you don't do that. There's education is typically at the bottom. Special skills you want to include. So yeah, just look at professional resumes and follow those. Follow one of those that makes sense, because they are all pretty much the same as far as when I'm talking about that. I'm talking about like the columns and the information that you include and how you include it. So if your resume, if you have a lot of film, then put film at the top in its own category and do film, TV, commercials. But if you don't have a lot of film and TV, then combine film and TV into one category and list them together so that it looks stronger. Because it's better to write film, TV, and then have 4 listings than it is to have film, 2 listings, TV, 2 listings. See what I mean? So you're just being smart about how you present the information. If you've been primarily a theater actor, I've been looking at a lot of actors who have a ton of Broadway experience. So their Broadway and off-Broadway stuff is first, because that's really where where their strength of their resume is. And then TV film is under that. Or you create different resumes. You create one that's for stage, in which you put your stage stuff on the top, and then you create one for commercials in which you put your commercials on the top, or film, TV. But if you don't have a ton of credits under film, TV, combine that into one category, and then you can list theater, commercials, and then of course you want training, special skills, any of that stuff that helps us get to know you. So okay, Emily. Oh, Diego, I know why you put this up. Diego's controlling the questions, I see, and I had to tell him a couple weeks ago, sadly, very sadly, that I actually will not be at Christian Worldview this year. I haven't missed the last several years, and I love that event. I love just everything about it. It's a great time with wonderful people, really good place to meet people, and to meet people who are, working specifically within the faith-based genre. And sadness. I know, sadness. But I don't plan on missing next year. I just couldn't this year. I just have too much going on that I need to be here for. So, and in fact, it turned out I'll be in LA for that during that time. So anyway, I will be sad to miss you guys, but it is a great event, great guild, great festival. I would encourage any of you guys to go if you can. It's in Albany, Georgia. Man, it's a wonderful event. So okay, Baron Brooks, such a strong name. How important is IMDb ratings and the detail on IMDb to you when casting? The detail on IMDb is very important. So as much information, if you have a short bio you can post. Your height is helpful. Nobody really posts their age, but if you aren't opposed to it, post your age, but you don't have to. You usually, I think there's a place to put an age range that you feel like you play. But the ratings are, I can't say that they're not used. They are looked at, but they aren't what's going to get you a role. I think they're just an indication of a moment in time as to how much traction your page is getting. And that can be an indication as to, how active you are or how much work you're doing as an actor. If we're looking for name people and name value, then if that becomes a little more of a element that we kind of put a little more weight on. But when we're not really particularly concerned with that, then it doesn't weigh that heavily. So I wouldn't get really caught up in that too much. And I've said this before. Unfortunately, you can get a really low By low, I mean the number's low, which is actually high, right? The lower your number, the better your IMDb rating is. And you can be, in the top 10 because you did something horrible. Like I've seen, actors who unfortunately get arrested for drunk driving, and then they're in the news, which means everybody's then going and looking up their page, and so they end up with this really, really low or high IMDb rating. That isn't because they did something amazing and as an actor, it's because they made the news for something they did personally. So there's those things can be really skewed. So I won't say that we ignore them, but we don't put as much weight into them, I think, as some people think we do. Ruben Dodd. Hi, Ruben. Good to see you. What is the best way to get a director's attention on social media? Make a video of me acting. I think any opportunity you have to show you doing your thing is good. Anytime we can see you in motion, that's good, because it's like you're preparing for the opportunity when a director is going to look you up and want to find out more about you, right? So today may not be that day. It may not be the day that a director's researching you or a casting director's researching you, but I'd still put the material up there with the idea that someday somebody's going to be looking up my information and they're going to want to see more about me or see me doing other work. And so I would proactively begin to pull those pieces together, or do great monologues and post them on your social media, do self tapes or little excerpts, anything like that, where you're doing your craft, and post them. Again, this is like I've said in past weeks, there's no downside to it, right? There's literally no downside to you posting clips of you doing work, or I don't know, creating a 1-minute monologue challenge for yourself. Don't wait for someone else to challenge you. Decide, you know what, I'm creating a 1-minute monologue challenge for myself, and I'm going to do a 1-minute monologue from every genre, from comedy and drama and I don't know, procedural, thriller, anything like that. And just look for those monologues and record them and post them. Those are all great exercises to do as an actor, just to push yourself. So yeah, that kind of stuff is great. It's not going to hurt you unless what you're putting up isn't good, or the content is, maybe objectionable, something like that. But it's never going to hurt you. So, Mr. Rubin, it won't hurt you. It'll only help you. All right. For films that you cast, do you ever try to be on set during filming? I pre-COVID, I did all the time because it was much, much easier. Post-COVID, on some sets, now it's relaxing quite a bit now, but on some sets, they had zoned them A, B, and C. And so, excuse me, it wouldn't have mattered if I went and traveled to where they were filming. I couldn't have been on set with the actors because Zone A was only the principal actors and then the director, producer, those few people who had to have interaction with that principal cast. Now that's changing a lot. So yes, I am getting on set a little bit more, but sometimes I just, I finish my part of the project and then hopefully I'm on to my next one. So sometimes I'm just kind of too already involved in the next project to be able to stop and travel. But when I can, I love to. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's, it's like we get to see the fruits of our labor and just all the hard work, see the pieces come together. So it's actually one of my favorite things to do, for sure. I think I have time for one more question. Julio, hi, Julio, how are you? It's good to see you. Julio was this is a really, okay, Julio, I'm going to use you as an example. So you guys may remember I went into the Christmas movie where I actually was acting in it for a brief scene as a on-air radio host. And Julio was our driver, and but he's an actor too, but he also makes himself available to work on production. And as a driver, we got to talking because one of our drives was about like 30 to 40 minutes. And so we just kind of talked the whole time. And so talk about an opportunity, have a one-on-one. It happened organically because Julio was working on the production. So anytime you can do that and you can be involved in production and you can be working in the environment, even if it's not as an actor all the time, I would encourage you to do that because you meet a lot of people. And now, I will remember him, remember that time, and keep my eye out for him. So good job, Julio. Okay, I'm going to answer your question, though. What is your favorite way to stay in touch with actors without them being a pest? Well, if we're not driving in a car to and from set, then the next best way is via email, or I'm not as great with messages on social media, but I do check them. So you could send a quick like Instagram message or Facebook message. No, Facebook, you have to be friends. So I don't always go into that second layer. So Instagram message is good, or an email. And like in that case, because Julia and I spent some time together, if he emailed me, I would make the connection right away, and I'd be great with that. So yeah, Gigi was on the production. Gigi Ursillo is on the feed, and she was on the production as well, and he drove us both. So see, he met Gigi, lots of other great people. So it's a really great way to make a living and pay the bills, but in an environment where you're still working with other craftspeople, you're still working in the environment you ultimately want to be a part of as an actor. So it really is great. Be willing to be the driver or whatever it takes to be on set. Yeah, I see Tiffany saying I was able to meet a director and cast by providing my house as a location site. There you go. Happens all kinds of different ways. So, okay, that 40 minutes flew by. Oh my gosh, it just flew by. Okay, so we'll talk next week. And one of these weeks, I'll just tell you it's coming. I haven't planned with Diego yet exactly when it's going to be, but we'll talk specifically about The Chosen. I know that there's questions pretty consistently coming up about casting on The Chosen, how you can be a part of that, kind of how the casting process works on that show. And so I will address more specifically that specific production. And we'll let you know in advance when that's going to be, but probably sometime in the next couple of weeks. So that's it. I can't believe it. I'm going to miss you guys. This was just too fun. I appreciate you. I appreciate that you're here and that you're taking the time out to be focused and to, be a part of the conversation. Look at the other people in the comments and their names and, connect with them. And we'll just keep going one step at a time. I wish you guys all the very best. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. Look at that. It's like, let's talk Tuesday. Have a wonderful Wednesday. I can't go beyond that. My brain's too fried right now. But anyway, love you guys. Appreciate you. Please know you encourage me so much. And I really sincerely want to thank you for each kind word and smiley face emoji and just word of affirmation and appreciation. I see them all, I take them in, and they really do feed me and nurture me. And I consider you one of the beautiful ways that God encourages me each day. So I hope that others are doing that for you. And just know that I love you, appreciate you. God loves you, values you. And yeah, till next week, I will see you soon. Bye.